Alright, I know the title of this video is gonna say something vague like 1970s Sapphic vampire movies or something like that, but as I was making the list for this, most of them came out in 1971, which leads me to wonder what the fuck was going on in 1971. Today we are sinking our teeth into a subgenre of horror that is classic, that has been around for a long time, and that captivated audiences in the 70s, mostly 1971, and that is the Sapphic vampire or lesbian vampire horror movie. These films combine elements of erotica, horror, and gothic romance. They push the boundaries of censorship and societal norms. These films embraced themes of sexual liberation and female empowerment, often through the lens of supernatural horror. The lesbian vampire subgenre emerged as a potent symbol of rebellion against traditional gender roles and sexual repression. When we view these films through a modern lens, they offer a provocative exploration of desire, identity, and the nature of evil. By presenting lesbian relationships as both taboo and tantalizing, they challenge audiences to confront their own prejudices and preconceptions. And these movies are not shining beacons of representation by any means. They're always starring conventionally thin, cisgendered white women, and ultimately shot through the male gaze for the most part. And of course, they typically end with the gay vampire in question being defeated. To have a wealth of examples from this period is pretty amazing. The popularity of these movies in the 70s can be attributed to several factors, including social and cultural shifts, cinematic experimentation, and audience fascination with taboo subjects. And those taboo subjects being same-sex desire and vampirism. And this is reflective of the counterculture movement going on at the time. This movement embraced alternative lifestyles and challenged mainstream values. Lesbian vampire films appealed to audiences who identified with the rebellious and subversive nature of these narratives, which often depicted characters who defied societal norms. And it wasn't just the themes that made these films so unconventional. The filmmakers of the 70s were experimenting with genre conventions and visual styles, seeking to break away from the constraints of traditional Hollywood storytelling. These films were known for their lush cinematography and evocative set design. The combination of atmospheric visuals and sensual imagery created a captivating cinematic experience that resonated with audiences and became synonymous with the genre. And I've yet to see all of the Sapphic vampire movies from this era, but I've seen enough that I could make a ranking. And I'm gonna speed run the ranking a little bit, not because there are a lot, but most of these movies pretty much have the same plot. At the bottom for me is Lust for a Vampire from 1971, which is the second film in the Karnstein trilogy following The Vampire Lovers. At a girl's finishing school, a beautiful and enigmatic new student harbors a deadly secret. This is at the bottom because a man is the main character. That Lestrange guy, just no. This one felt like the most heterosexual out of all of these movies. Next is Vampiros Lesbos, which one of my patrons, Des, requested that I watch. In this surreal film, a young woman is drawn to the clutches of a female vampire who awakens her desires and leads her on a journey of self-discovery. I enjoyed the anti-man message, I have to say. The Countess was a vibe, but the movie was boring. Too many montages, and the music was really jarring and often didn't fit what was going on, at least for me. After that is The Velvet Vampire, also from 1971, in which a young couple's desert getaway takes a chilling turn when they encounter a seductive vampire. I want to like this one more because it's directed by a woman, which for this time period and this subgenre of film seems significant. And it does have some cool moments and some beautiful imagery, especially with that desert setting. But the main couple is too stupid for words, and it just takes me out of the movie. Next up, you guessed it, from 1971, Daughters of Darkness. This movie follows a mysterious and seductive countess who preys upon a newlywed couple at a secluded hotel. This one grew on me. I wasn't always a fan, but I love that the man gets unalived and the women almost have a happy vampire ending. Almost. All right, in second place, and one that I appreciated later on after watching it, after I sat with it for a little bit more. This one's from 1972. bit of a difference, The Blood-Spattered Bride, in which a newlywed bride becomes entangled in a web of seduction and violence when she encounters a mysterious woman with a dark secret. Hate the fact that the abusive husband wins in the end, but for the time, this was the closest we were gonna get to two women running off into the sunset in terms of vampire horror movies. And there was also the suggestion at the end that the women would eventually come back, even though they were shot a bunch of times in their coffin. So I just hold out that at some point, long after the events of the movie, those two women wake up again. And finally, in the #1 spot, remains in the #1 spot, one of my first lesbian vampire movies ever, from 1970, The Vampire Lovers. I love this one because Ingrid Pitt just like runs a train on a bunch of women. She's just ripping through this town, biting everybody. It's a vibe, hell yeah. And I like the just general contempt for men that she brings to this portrayal of Carmilla. I love that, honestly. I love that for her. I love that for me. Definitely share your favorites in the comments. I will be watching the comments closely and adding things to my watch list when I find ones that I haven't seen. I've talked about Sapphic vampires a lot on this channel, so you can check out one of my other videos on the subject. I don't know which one editor Vicky's gonna put in there. It'll be a surprise even to me. I will see you soon with a new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.